Hi all, welcome to my new little vlog again. Right, I'm cutting out a pair of trousers. I'm giving you a little glimpse in the real bespoke world. Usually there's two ways to cut. There's what we call direct drafting. So we usually will cut on cloth straight away, or we cut onto paper pattern. So I'm not doing direct drafting because this client of mine, I've already made him some jackets and trousers, quite a few trousers. So there's no point in keep making, keep creating a new pattern when I can just create a pattern already on paper, and this will be for as many trousers as you want. So this is what I do, and it's more, it's more efficient, it's better way. If you keep direct drafting, you've got to keep cutting on the cloth, then you've got to keep drafting. So it's not a good way, especially if you get repeat customers, clients. So I'm cutting out a pattern now for my client. This is on the, do you remember I was telling you about the chocolate brown? Let's get it for you. The beautiful chocolate brown tweed we've got here. Let me just get it for you here. So I'm making a pair of trousers and a waistcoat from here. So let me just put this aside for you there. So I'm nearly finishing the top side. We always draft the top side first, and then we use the top side as the template to draft the underside, the back. So I'm just finishing off the top side, and I'll just give you little glimpses into how I do things. Now, there's just a few measurements we need to make a pair of trousers. We need the outside leg, we need the inside leg, the waist, the seat, the knee, and the hem. Sometimes you take a thigh measurement, but usually my seat will determine that anyway. So unless you got a big developed thighs, I don't usually take a thigh measurement. Some tailors will, I don't, and it's worked out fine for me. Now I have my own way of drafting patterns. I learned from so many bespoke tailors, and I've got my own system now, which is pretty good. So I teach this in my shop one-to-one courses on how to draft and make pure bespoke tailored trousers. So if anyone's interested, get back to me. But anyway, I want to give you lots of tips and advice along the way of what I do, things in the couture and bespoke world. So you can see we've got the outside leg, which is abbreviated OL, inside leg IL, waist W, S, seat, K is knee, and H is hem. It's just an abbreviation. Now also, we always have to divide to quarters because we're working on a quarter of a pattern. You see, there's just a quarter of a pattern of the whole measurement. So I always divide first. So my waist, I'll divide, this is a 35.5 waist, so I divide it by half, which is 17.75. Then I divide it into quarters, which is 8 7/8. I use the imperial system. You can use the metric, but I've got used to learning from my master bespoke tailors the imperial way. So I do combine both imperial and the metric as well. So the seat is a 41, half of that, 20.5, quarter is 10.25, and the knee is 18, half is 9, quarter is 4.5, and the hem is the same, 18, 9.25. Always do that first before you draft your pattern, because this will save you so much time and a headache to actually work out your measurements first in quarters. So you can see I've halved it, then I've quartered it. So that's for the waist, seat, knee, and hem. That's all you need. That's what I've done. So this works out really well. So I'm just going to finish off the knee. I'm going to put it into Sharpie. Usually I'll put it in pen, but I'm just going to put it in Sharpie for you. The camera will pick up the black Sharpie because it won't pick up a pencil or pen. So what I do for the knee, I've already got the knee measurement here. Quarter is 4.5. I've got my centre line already drawn in. So I'm going to put 4.5. There we go. So I mark my 4.5. I'll do the other side 4.5, which is 9. 4.5, which equals 9. And you do that for the hem as well. There, 4.5, because these are parallel trousers. They're not tapered. At the moment, he may want them tapered during the fit, but he said he wants parallel. So you don't want too tight a measurement on the knee, because remember, you're sitting down. So some people will have a 15.5 knee, which is a little bit tight for my liking. But anyway, hey ho, people have got different ways of they want things cut. So what I do now is I'll get my ruler, and then from the knee to get my glasses off this, and there for me, because these are parallel, I'm just going to draw that line down. And on the other side, I'll draw the same. So these are equidistant to the center line. This is the crease line. So this is the line there, the crease line there. So I'm just going to just draw that in. I'm going to use some of my sticks. I've got these from my lovely tailor. It's St. Kitts Tailor. He gave me these. He donated these to me. This is like looks like resembles a hockey stick, and I draw my outside. So I draw my inside seam of my leg with this. So, and then that'll be my underside. And then I've got another stick which I use on my side seams. You get there's a little curve here, very subtle curve. So that's what I'm going to do here. So now at the top here, I don't want to bore you with all these measurements I've done. When on my course, I explain everything to you, but I don't want to go through all this. Everyone's got different ways of cutting anyway. So I'm just going to establish my waistline from my fault line where your zip's going to be back to the side seam here. So my quarter of the waist is 8 7/8. So my waist is a quarter of 35.5. That's right, 8 7/8. So I'm just going to bring that back here, 8 7/8, which is there. Then I'm going to add my seam allowances. Remember, you've got to sew up your trousers on the front and back. So I'm going to put 2 centimeters. On average, we put about a centimeter. So I'm going to add 2 centimeters in this one. I'm going to add 2 centimeters, 1, 2. Now I'm not going to put a dart in here. There's a lot of contention. Tailors putting darts in. I believe in darts if you have them higher up on your waist. You know, when people got waisted trousers, it sits higher right on the waistline. Hey all, welcome back. Sorry, my microphone malfunctioned as I was explaining what I was doing at the waist to get my quarter of my waist to get the side seam of the waist here. So I'll have to just quickly recap. I've already cut it out, you can see. I'll just recap. So usually when I'm going to get a quarter of the waist to get the side seam of the front top side, I'll go from the edge where your actual zip's going to be, and I'll go a quarter. So my measurement of a quarter of the waist, my waist is 35.5, a quarter is 8 7/8. So what I actually do is see if I can get this in shot here. So from the fork where the zip's going to be, I measure from that line 8 7/8, which was there, exactly there, and then I have to add 2 seams. Remember, you've got to sew up your trousers, so you've got to sew up where the fly is, and you've got to sew the side seam. So you've got to add 2 seams. So I added 2 seams there, and that's where I got my, you can see my waist, my quarter of my waist there. Then I established what I did then. I actually just got a nice run all the way down the side seam, because remember, I got my quarter of my, sorry, I got half of my, in total across the knee, it's half of your total knee. So my knee was 9, so a quarter of that's 4.5. So each side of this crease line, it's 4.5 inches. So mark that. Then I got my ruler, and where my line was there, I just got a nice run to my, you can see, I use my ruler here to get a nice little run there, and then a nice little run there. There's a side seam up to your actual hip. It's virtually a straight line, but not quite a straight line. It's just a fraction of a slight curve, and you've got a very subtle curve going up to your waist. Now, as women, this would be more pronounced because women have got bigger hips than men, but men, we generally have more of a straighter edge and a very slight curve going to the side seam at the top. So, and then that was cut out, you can see. And then I use this template to cut out my underside, which you will see now, my next little section. So I've cut the underside now. The back, remember the back has been cut from the front, which is a template. So now it's totally accurate. We've got nice lines here, and the side seams are really good, beautiful, nice line on both of the side seams here. I put a back dart in there on the back there to shape over the bum area. I haven't put a dart on the front because these are low. These will be low on him anyway, so they're just kind of standard. Most men will have it on their lower hip bone. If this was on the waistline, then I would definitely put a dart into shape. But we are not women, you know. So men, we're not women. Of course, when we put more darts in, we shape around the seat area more. Usually we'll put 2 darts in the back. Sometimes there can be 2 darts in the front. because there's a big difference between the waist and the seat area of women. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with all those. So now what we're going to do, this is finished now. I'm going to put the client's name here. So Krishna, he's a lovely friend of mine as well. And we always put the measurements in, so we know we can refer back to him. So in a year's time, he wants another pair of trousers. He's going to have more this year, but you know, if you've got a client or a friend of yours, you've made a pattern, you know, 1 year down the line. So I'll put the date as well. So this is 2024. So it's, gosh, what is it? It's May, isn't it? May 24. Is it 23? No, it's the 23rd, isn't it? Is it 24th? Gosh, I'm going crazy. What's the date today? It's the 23rd, isn't it? What's the year? Oh my gosh, I'm going nuts, everyone. Anyway, well, you know the year. Gosh, I need to sit down. I think I've done too much work. I'm a bit stressed. Anyway, so you put the date and the year, and also now you'll put the outside leg. Remember the abbreviations, OL, outside leg, and that's 42 inches. The inside leg, abbreviation IL, and that's 33 inches. And the waist, abbreviation W, 35.5 inches. The seat, which is S, abbreviation, that's 41 inches. And the knee, which is K, it's 18 inches. And the hem, which is H, and that's 18 inches. They're parallel trousers. So there we have that, everyone. So I know this client of mine now. I've got his measurements. I've got the year when I made it. And I know if he comes back in a year's time, I'll just double check his measurements. And if the pattern's all right, because we all lose weight, we all gain weight as human beings. That's how we are. Some humans are lucky that they don't gain weight or lose weight. They just stay like that since they were born. So you get a few, but it's very rare. So you've got all the measurements there, the date when I'd actually drafted it. And please remember, there's no such thing as a perfect pattern. No pattern cutter in the world, even the best ones, they can't tell you that pattern is going to fit you perfectly. There's no such thing as a perfect pattern. It does not exist. It's the fittings, and we're going to have fittings that will create the perfect master pattern for you. So I'm going to have fittings with this client, you will see. And also on the fabric, we're going to leave extra inlays. If you refer back to some of my videos on YouTube, please subscribe to some of you. You'll see, look, I think I've done nearly 300 videos so far. You'll see there's a section, there's a video about inlays. You'll see about inlays. So I'm going to put inlays on the back inside leg. I'm going to put inlays always on the waist. Sometimes on difficult customers, I'll put inlays on the side seams of the top side as well. But on this one, I will just put an inlay on the inside, and maybe on the outside, I may put an inlay, but always I'm going to put an inlay on the waist area, about an inch, just in case, you know, we got enough to play with if we want to let it out or let it, you know, whatever we're going to do with it. So on that note, everyone, there we have it. So come and join me as I progress and in this little world of the bespoke tailoring world, and I'm going to cut out, you'll see me now cut out this pattern into fabric, and you'll see me put all the inlays in. When I make all the inlays, I'll do all these like tailor tacks on them as well and things like that. So you'll see what I do, what we call thread marking. So hopefully I'll see you very soon, everyone, and I will just say to you now, ciao for now.